From Marathon's decisive victory to Alexander's world-changing conquests, ancient Greece's battles shaped civilization as we know it. Join us as we explore 10 legendary conflicts where strategy, courage, and innovation collided to forge the destiny of empires. Picture this. It's 490 BCE and 10,000 Greek hoplites face down a massive Persian army on the plains of Marathon. The odds? Nearly 6-1 against the Greeks. But here's where it gets interesting. The Athenian general Miltiades had a brilliant plan. Instead of following the usual battle playbook, he thinned out his center and strengthened his wings. When the Persians attacked, thinking they had the upper hand, the Greek center fell back as planned. But then, like a giant pair of pincers, the reinforced Greek wings closed in on the Persian forces from both sides. The Persian army, caught completely off guard, broke into chaos. The heavily armored Greek hoplites pressed their advantage, driving the Persians back to their ships in a stunning victory that would change the course of Western civilization. Talk about a classic underdog story. Let's dive into one of history's most famous last stands, the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BCE. King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans, along with about 7,000 other Greek allies, faced off against Xerxes' massive Persian army at a narrow coastal pass. Now, this wasn't just about brute force. It was a masterclass in tactical thinking. The Greeks used the terrain brilliantly, forcing the Persians to funnel through the narrow pass where their huge numbers actually became a disadvantage. For 3 days, the Greek forces held their ground, with the Spartans' superior training and heavy bronze armor proving devastating in close combat. But here's the twist. A local Greek named Ephialtes betrayed his countrymen, showing the Persians a hidden path around the pass. Though the battle ended in defeat, the Spartans' sacrifice bought crucial time for other Greek cities to prepare their defenses, and their courage became legendary. After the fall of Thermopylae, Athens faced a critical moment. Enter Themistocles, probably history's first great naval strategist, who came up with a plan so clever it would make modern military commanders jealous. He tricked the massive Persian fleet into the narrow Strait of Salamis. Imagine trying to parallel park 100 cars in an alley, and you'll get the idea of the chaos that ensued. The Greek ships, more maneuverable and operated by crews who knew these waters like the back of their hands, turned the strait into a deadly trap. Persian ships couldn't turn effectively, crashed into each other, and were picked off one by the more agile Greek triremes. Xerxes, watching from his golden throne on the shore, witnessed his naval superiority literally sink before his eyes. This wasn't just a victory, it was a complete game-changer that saved Greek civilization. Now, we're heading to 479 BCE for the grand finale of the Persian invasion, the Battle of Plataea. The Greeks had finally united in full force, with about 40,000 heavily armed troops facing off against Mardonius's Persian army of roughly 100,000. Picture this, the largest Greek army ever assembled, with Spartans, Athenians, and other city-states fighting side by side. After days of cautious maneuvering, the Persian cavalry disrupted the Greek supply lines, forcing them to relocate. During this movement, the Persians mistook the Greek repositioning for a retreat and rushed to attack. Big mistake. The Greek phalanx formation proved unstoppable, with their bronze shields and long spears creating an impenetrable wall of death. When Mardonius fell in battle, the Persian army crumbled. The victory at Plataea didn't just end the invasion, it marked the beginning of the golden age of Greece. Now, let's talk about a battle that completely changed the game in ancient Greece. The Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE. Theban general Epaminondas revolutionized warfare with a strategy that would influence military tactics for centuries. Instead of the traditional evenly spread phalanx formation, he stacked his best troops 50 ranks deep on his left wing. Think of it like a sledgehammer aimed at one specific point. Facing the supposedly invincible Spartans, Epaminondas attacked at an oblique angle, concentrating his elite sacred band against the Spartan king and their best warriors. The sheer mass of the Theban left wing crushed through the Spartan lines like a hot knife through butter. The Spartan king fell in battle, their army broke, and just like that, the myth of Spartan invincibility shattered. This wasn't just a victory, It was the end of Sparta's military dominance in Greece. Let's explore one of the biggest military blunders in ancient history, the siege of Syracuse in 415 BCE. At the height of their power, the Athenians launched a massive naval expedition to Sicily, sending 134 triremes and over 25,000 troops. They were confident, maybe a bit too confident. Syracuse, however, had a secret weapon, a brilliant mathematician named Archimedes. He designed incredible defensive machines, including massive cranes that could lift and drop Athenian ships like toys, and even supposedly used giant mirrors to set enemy ships on fire. The Athenians found themselves stuck in a 2-year siege that turned into a nightmare. Disease spread through their camps, reinforcements were cut off, and their escape attempt ended in disaster. When the dust settled, most of the Athenian forces were either dead or enslaved in Syracuse's stone quarries. Talk about a dramatic reversal of fortune. Picture this. October 1st, 331. BCE. Alexander the Great faces off against Darius III's massive Persian army at Gaugamela. The Persians outnumber the Macedonians 4-1, but Alexander has something better than numbers, a brilliant battle plan. He positions his forces at an angle, deliberately weakening his right wing to bait the Persians. As Darius's forces chase what they think is an easy victory, Alexander leads his elite companion cavalry in a lightning-fast charge straight at the Persian center. Meanwhile, the Macedonian phalanx holds firm with their long sarissa spears, creating an unbreakable wall. When a gap opens in the Persian lines, Alexander and his cavalry smash through like a battering ram, heading straight for Darius. The Persian king flees, his army collapses, and just like that, Alexander conquers the largest empire in the ancient world. This wasn't just a victory. It was a masterclass in tactical genius that changed the face of Asia forever. Let's turn our attention to 338 BCE, where Philip II of Macedon faced off against an alliance of Greek city-states in a battle that would reshape the ancient world. At Cheronea, Philip showcased the military innovations that made Macedon unstoppable. Picture this. While the Greek allies relied on their traditional phalanx, Philip unleashed his longer sarissa spears and his secret weapon, the incredibly mobile companion cavalry, led by his teenage son Alexander. The Macedonians appeared to retreat in their center, drawing the Greeks forward. But this was a clever trap. As the Greeks advanced, Philip's cavalry, led by young Alexander, smashed into their exposed flank. The Greek lines crumbled under this hammer and anvil attack, marking the end of Greek city-state independence and the rise of Macedonian dominance. This wasn't just another victory, it was the battle that set the stage for Alexander's future conquests. Let's dive into one of Alexander's most brilliant victories, the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE. Picture this. Alexander's smaller army of 40,000 troops faces Darius III's massive Persian force of over 100,000 in a narrow coastal plain. Alexander spots a golden opportunity. The confined space neutralizes the Persians' numerical advantage. He leads his elite companion cavalry in a devastating charge right at Darius, while his disciplined phalanx holds the line with their long sarissa spears. The Persian left wing crumbles under the Macedonian assault, creating panic in their ranks. When Darius sees Alexander's cavalry charging straight for him, he flees the battlefield, abandoning his army to chaos. The Persian forces collapse, leaving behind Darius's family and massive treasures. This battle showcases Alexander's signature style, personal bravery combined with tactical brilliance. Let's look at one of the most surprising upsets of the Peloponnesian War, the Battle of Pylos in 425 BCE. The Athenians, usually known for their naval power, pulled off something incredible here. They turned a random stop for shelter into a strategic masterpiece by fortifying a remote peninsula and trapping elite Spartan troops on the nearby island of Sphacteria. The Spartans, who prided themselves on never surrendering, found themselves in an impossible situation. Athenian light troops, using hit-and-run tactics, wore down the Spartan hoplites who were trained for traditional pitched battles. The Spartans, unable to use their famous phalanx formation effectively on the rough terrain, eventually did the unthinkable. they surrendered. This shocking victory proved that even the mighty Spartans weren't invincible and gave Athens a powerful bargaining chip in the war. Thanks for joining us on this epic journey through ancient Greece's most decisive battles. If you enjoyed learning about these legendary conflicts, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with fellow history enthusiasts. Stay tuned for more fascinating historical tales.